Welcome to Dishing Heat with Wolfie and Big Shot Song. We're your hosts, Nathan Wolf.
And Max Song.
Today, on All Star Sunday, we'll be talking about some of the worst All Stars of all time for multiple reasons. Both the worst All Stars who got fan voted in, and the concept of All Stars who were decent players maybe on great teams, but got in over players who were having much better statistical seasons on worse teams. Starting off, who are some of your worst All Stars of all time?
I think you'll bring him up earlier, so I'll leave Kobe to you. When I think worst All Star, I think about Kyle Korver because Kyle Korver was. Let me pull up his stats in the All Star season. It was 12.9 points, 4.3 rebounds, 2.7 assists. He was shooting 53% from three, but like vote Joe Harris in then. I think what that doesn't make any sense. It was horrible. That's what I think about immediately when I think of horrible All Star.
Yeah, like it's honestly, it's one of the best like role player seasons of all time. Honestly, if you think about a guy shooting over 50% from three on the amount of volume and contest that his threes had, um, I mean, the guy was basically 50, 50, 90. He was this close, but I do agree with you. 12 points is not going to cut it for an all-star. So while it was an awesome season, there's got to be a more deserving all-star out there for sure. Yeah, personally, I when I think of worst all-stars, I always think of the last Kobe Bryant seasons. In particular, I think honestly you could take all of the last three seasons. There's one where he played 6 games. I think he was a starter that season. He was awful in those 6 games too. He averaged 14 points a game. Like that just didn't make any sense. Um, the next 2 years he was again awful efficiency wise. You could argue he maybe made sense as a all-star in 14, 15. He did average 22, but the effective field goal was at 41%. That's unheard of levels of bad. And the next year, 66 games, 18 points, but again, 42% effective. Honestly, all three of those seasons, if you combine them, he still averages below 42 effective field goal percentage. I know it's 19 points a game, but just because his name is Kobe Bryant doesn't mean he deserved three straight All-Star appearances. I really don't get it.
Yeah, but it's just the legend of Kobe. Especially like after he got injured, he was just not the same player. Even like rest in peace, but he was not near the same level. And I think similarly, D Wade was voted in a while ago with Dirk, right? It was like a legend All Star thingy where they actually I believe they actually got an All Star selection under their name for it, which is cool to see because like when D Wade and Dirk, I think it was like 2018-19 when they were retiring, they got like a retirement tour and everything, and they got an All Star selection, which is kind of bull crap for them to get a resume boost. But yeah, that's also what I think of in recent history if I think about bad All Star selections.
Yeah, that was annoying to me because initially I liked it because they called it like a commissioner's exception, and I was like, great, okay, it won't count towards their stats. And then I realized it would, and like D Wade's not as bad. D Wade was averaging 50 in that game. He was actually like a spark off their bench. I'm pretty sure they made the playoffs that year. I could be wrong,
They barely
or at
missed
least
out. They were like one game
they
behind the eighth.
right. Yeah, did they lose out to like Charlotte or something? Or did
I don't
Charlotte lose
remember,
out
but
to?
I remember that season
Yeah,
was like when like D Wade hit that ridiculous shot off the backboard, and
yeah,
then
oh,
yeah,
against the Warriors, right?
yeah, yeah,
Ah, yeah, the Pistons beat out both the Hornets and the Heat. That's what it was. Yeah, and then they got swept by the Bucks. Like the Pistons made it, but then Blake Griffin got injured in like game one, or it was Drummond, and then they just got absolutely demolished. But yeah, um, like it wasn't as bad for Wade, but Dirks was awful. It counts as an All-Star game. He averaged 7 points, and it was terrible, like his worst shooting year ever. Yeah, if those had just been commissioners' exceptions, that would have been fine. And they set the precedent to allow commissioners' exceptions in the future. So we may see this again, but yeah, neither of them deserved an actual All-Star.
yeah. And like speaking of All Stars, though, this might be going a little off topic. My mind just kind of went there, and I think it might be fun to talk about. Is like all NBA selections because I was thinking about like DeAndre Jordan making a All NBA first team a while ago with Chris Paul and Lob City. Like, do you think a center can be made like into an All NBA player with a really good point guard?
I mean, yes. Like I think the thing that a lot of the centers who aren't averaging as nice of numbers but make all NBA teams, they often have the defensive component. Um, like I think of All-Star Marcus Gasol, who was All NBA that year. The year where he won DPOY, but he wasn't first team All Defensive, which is wild, by the way. That's a whole different topic, but yeah, I think it's definitely possible. It's tougher to almost impossible in the current NBA because at the time, you have to understand that the best center in the league was DeMarcus Cousins, and I don't even know if DeMarcus Cousins is a he's not a. I'm just trying to think who we classify as centers because we're probably not classifying Giannis as a center. But like Jokic is better, Embiid is better, right? Like DeMarcus Cousins would not be a first team All NBA guy in the current NBA. So I think it's interesting to think about. That's why the center position just wasn't as deep right now. It's really really deep. So I think it's tougher in the current NBA, but it's possible.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And like speaking of big men, another guy that made the All Star game that probably shouldn't have, and this hurts me to say because I really liked him before he got screwed over by the government, got a bunch of like he played through a bunch of injuries and screwed himself over. Was Yao Ming? He made the All Star game every single year he played, including his rookie season, which he only averaged 13.5, and his final season, in which he played 5 games. So like I don't understand that. It's because of his huge fan base in China, which makes sense because they literally bred him to make him like a genetic monster. But still, like Yao Ming making the All Star game, like out of his prime, like his prime was probably from 2005 2008, where he averaged like 22 point something points per game. Every season, a double double machine basically. But other than that, every season he made it was kind of iffy to me.
Yeah, like China's one of the biggest NBA markets. Probably is the biggest outside of North America. For being honest, they play China series games for a reason. But yeah, Yao Ming, especially that last year. The rookie year is interesting too because rookie year All Stars are an interesting thing to think about. They don't happen very often. I believe the only two in league history are Blake Griffin and Yao Ming. I could be wrong. Um, but yeah, like it sets a precedent. Like if he's one of the only rookie All Stars, he didn't really deserve it that year. And that last year is awful. Like it's interesting. He's the only player ever to make an All Star in every single season he played, which is kind of wild. But yeah, he certainly didn't deserve it many of those years.
Just to look it up for the rookie thing, a lot of players have done it. Tim Duncan did it. Grant Hale did it. Shaq did it. Mutombo did it. David Robinson did it.
All
Patrick Ewing did it. All of these guys did it.
all before 2000 though, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah, my bad. Yeah,
Jordan, Hakeem. Yeah.
that's what the stat was. It was before like after 2000, after Yao Ming, they stopped doing it until since like Blake Griffin was the most recent. I know that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, yeah. So sorry, like since I guess since Yao Ming, they've only done it once. So they changed it. I guess they were doing All-Star rookies, but at least since I started watching the NBA, since I was born, there has only been the one rookie All-Star, which is interesting.
Right. Are there any other people that like are in your mind that were horrible Oscar selections?
Yeah, not like horrible, but when I start to get into this next category is guys that like Kyle Korver is definitely part of this tier. But I always think of the Marcus Salt or not Marcus Salt, Mike Conley year, Memphis guys. When he was an All-Star in Utah, listen, Mike Conley probably deserved an All-Star when he was in Memphis. There were some really good years, but he did not deserve that Utah All-Star. They threw him in as I want to say the third All-Star on the team. It was Gobert
D Mitch.
um and D-Mitch, yeah, thank you. As All Stars that year, and they threw him in as the third All Star because they were something like the 2 seed or 1 seed at the time. They might have been the 1 seed, and I get it, but his numbers just aren't All Star numbers. 16 points a game on solid efficiency, like good efficiency. He was on. I think it might have been his most efficient year ever. That's great and all, but I don't know if we're giving guys like that All Stars. It's the third All Star too. It's not like the second on a 1 seed. It's the third All Star. I remember at that time there was multiple guys I thought were more deserving of that All-Star appearance than Mike Conley. Um, and I just think it's interesting when JJJ this year is the same thing. We voted him in as the second All-Star on that team only because Bean hasn't played a lot this year. And I get it, they're a high seed, but he did not deserve to be an All-Star this year either.
When I saw JJJ get picked, I was actually that was the most shocked I've been in a long time for an All Star selection. It was crazy to me. Jaren Jackson Jr. No minutes played. His stats are pretty good when he's coming back, but that's not even All Star level caliber stats either. Like yeah, I get they're trying to account for his defense, but still he hasn't played enough games for that to be a good enough sample size. So I get trying to reward higher seeds, but like Aaron Gordon arguably was more deserving this year because the Nuggets are the first seed and he's having an amazing season. So like the Nuggets only got one, so I don't understand why JJJ made it.
Yeah, like I think there's probably a guy more deserving than both of them. But to me, when I first heard it, my first thought was the same thing you just said. I was like, Aaron Gordon deserved it over. Like if we're gonna give it to him, I'd rather give it to Aaron Gordon. They're the one seed. Yeah, exactly. He's. I mean, it's interesting because both of them are technically the third option on their teams, right? Like Jamal Murray's the second option. Desmond Bane is the third option. Um, but like you can argue that maybe neither should have deserved it, which is fair. I'd give you that argument over the JJJ is an all-star argument, honestly. Like it's just really odd to me. I just don't get those kind of all-stars. Um, I remember it was the Mike Conley year. I think I know I wanted BI to be an all-star over him, but there was someone else in a like higher seat that deserved it as well that just didn't make it. It's just really confusing why we're giving these guys all-stars. Like I just don't think they deserve it, honestly.
Like I think it's just really unfair because people are like, oh, like he's having a good season, sure, but if you just look at all stars in terms of like I don't know goat arguments or who's better all time, like it's not fair for the players that like earned it and played like an Iron Man essentially. So I think it's just stupid.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people will tend to gravitate towards all NBA appearances over all stars for how good players were in their career. Um, there's guys that like will I just will never make the Hall of Fame. Like ISO Joe will probably never make the Hall of Fame, despite the fact he's a seven-time All-Star, and he'll be, as of right now, the only seven-time All-Star, I believe, or maybe second,
He would
depending
have
on
made it if
possibly
the
owner.
Suns owner wasn't so cheap, but
Yeah, I know
whatever.
the Suns finally. It's a conversation for another day, but the Suns finally get a new owner, and now they're if they win a championship after finally getting a new owner all this time, when they should have won it in the ISO Joe Steve Nash era, they could have won it even in later Steve Nash era, honestly. But their owner was so damn cheap, they were never going to win a championship. It's so frustrating. Um, Especially if they win now, it's gonna look really bad. They finally get a new owner and win a championship. Like it was actually the owner's fault the entire time.
It
It's
was
really, really
Sarver's a clown.
absolute clown. It's so frustrating if you think about it. Like, yeah, it's bad. It's really, really bad.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
we wanted to talk about one more thing today, right? Um, it was like, what did you want to talk about? It was something to do with? Oh yeah, top seed like top seeds versus lower seeds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even like yeah. If we go back to the Mike Conley year, even like I believe Jamal Murray probably should have been an All Star over Conley. They were a decently high seed at the time. I think they ended up being a higher seed after the like regular season and into the bubble, but still like he was the second option on the team. He got injured the second half of the year, but that doesn't matter. Like pre All-Star break, he was playing and he was playing better than Conley. Maybe he got replaced as an injury All-Star. I could be wrong. It's possible that they were going to give it to him, but it doesn't appear on his BR like it doesn't it doesn't say that he's an All-Star anywhere. So yeah, I just like I find it really frustrating, especially yeah, we're talking about looking at like all-time statistics and grading players overall. All-star appearances can be important, right? Even guys like even all-time guys when they make that yeah that last all-star appearance, it's just like we have to understand that these are all yeah resume as you're saying resume builders.
I think it's gotten better as of late. Let's look at today's like this All Star game. The Pacers are the 12th seed. They have Halliburton. Bulls are 11. They have DeRozan. Raptors are 10. They have Siakam. Then if you go to the West, the Jazz are 11. They have Lowry. Thunder are 10th. They have Shea. Warriors are ninth. Wow, Warriors are ninth. They have Curry. He's not playing, but they have Curry. Timberwolves are eighth. They have Ant. Right. I think it's gotten better as of late. Just rewarding individual performance. But I also do think that seeding matters because if it's really tight, let's say in a year between Jaylen Brown and Bradley Beal, I would have given it to Jaylen Brown because I think it's more impressive for Jaylen Brown to be doing what he's doing, or as a second option on the top seed compared to Bradley Beal like shot chucking being inefficient like on like the 12th seed. I don't like Bradley Beal as an all star, but I think seeding does matter because I think it matters how much you contribute towards winning. Sometimes you can't do anything about it because your team sucks so much. That's like There's like Shea on the Thunder. Actually, the Thunder's roster is not that bad, but like it's not as good. But you know what I mean. I think it matters.
Yeah, I mean, even like the Thunder are just getting completely carried by SGA. Like it it matters as well. Like he's played most of the season, and honestly, that team is bad. Like without him, they probably won maybe 10 games right now. They're just a game shy of 500. It's truly impressive. I think SGA deserved an All-Star appearance. A few years ago, there was a year where he played like 35 games. He averaged really good numbers, really efficient. 50, 40, 80. Like that year, I think he should have been an all-star, but their team sucked. And he was another guy I think should have been an all-star over my colleague. That's the same year, now that you say this. But yeah, I think it's interesting. We can look at years like Bradley Beal didn't make an all-star appearance in 1920 when he was averaging 30 on honestly not awful efficiency. Call it shot checking, but it wasn't terrible efficiency. They were a really bad team though. Same thing happened with Trey Young. There was a year where he didn't make an all-star. That was a bad team. His numbers weren't awesome. I don't actually disagree with that year, but there was years early in his career where like he was good. He was averaging 30, but the team was awful. So people debated it whether he should have been an all-star. Both of those guys I think didn't deserve to be an all-star this year. I'm not saying that, but uh, for sure it's interesting to look at like is a guy shot checking and does that guy deserve to be an all-star? I think there's a difference between shot checking for say 22, 3 points a game on a really bad team and like what SGA is doing this year, a 30 bomb
Well,
on a team.
SGA is stupid efficient, dude.
That's the best part. Yeah, 100%. Like I love SGA and he's doing this on stupid good efficiency where he is like the first option at all times. Um, Down the stretch, it's all him too. He is taking every single shot. And when he's not, they're losing games. Like if he's not taking the last five shots of the team, I'm not excited about that as an OKC fan. If I was, of course.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because the NBA is people who say that NBA is just getting softer and it's easier for people to score. It might be true, but it's getting more talented. The talent is ridiculous in the league. So if you see like a guy on the 14th seed averaging 30 and then a guy on the third seed averaging 30, like it's no brainer, right? So I think it's really easy for people to score. Let's say like Larry Markkinen, you gave him a chance to blossom in his own situation. He went ham. Like I think you could do that with a lot of players in the league today. So averaging like 25, 5 and 5 doesn't even make you an all-star anymore. As we saw with Siakam this year, he wasn't voted in. He is now, but he wasn't voted in the original place. So I think winning is going to matter a little bit more in the future, but that's also tough because the NBA is getting more balanced than ever before. If you look at the West, we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, but the Suns are 32 and 28. The Jazz, who are the 11th seed, 6 spots behind the Suns, are 29 and 31, 3 games behind them. That's crazy. So I think it's ridiculously hard to choose all stars now because um there's just too much talent. Based on talent though, do you think the NBA should eliminate conferences because it doesn't always go to the best player because there are certain years like I think next year the West deserves more all stars than the East because the West is more loaded, but like then again, it might be too hard for some people to make All Star games that way. Do you think that the West should eliminate East West All Stars?
It's really yeah, it's tough to say because there are times where I'm sitting there like that guy should have been an all-star, that guy should have been an all-star in East and West. They like honestly they probably should, especially since the game. See, the reason why it made sense in the past is because there used to be an East versus West All-Star game, right? And that was the whole concept. Whether you agreed with it or not, that was the way it worked, and that was why they had the system in place, I believe. Now the only thing it does is just kind of allow people to organize their all-star picks easier. It gives way to people not just voting like all 10 of their favorite players from their team. Um, I don't know if it's like abolishing it makes sense, right? To not do East and West, to just like it makes sense in every facet until you realize people have to vote, and it just makes it a little more confusing when it's not all stars. I think you could do starters are conferences and just give us all the reserves. Like no one's voting on the reserves anyway.
I like that.
Like mine, I think that's the right way to do it, right? Like give us the starters in conferences, but then make sure all the players who deserve to be all stars are all stars. Because whether you're a starter or reserve, in the end, when we look back a decade from now, isn't really a big deal. But what is a big deal is all star or not. So I think that's probably the best way to do it.
I agree. And I think I think also that the NBA should eliminate positions for the All Star game. Because there are years where like Carlos Boozers was pretty good like back in the day, but he does not deserve it to make it over certain like guards, for example. This year, like there's no shot JJJ should have made it over De'Aaron Fox. So in the reserve section, there's like one wild card, I believe. I think they need to make more wild cards because having just positions makes no sense to me because it doesn't make the best players in the All Star game.
Yeah, again, I think the starters should be positions because we need to like we're still trying to play an all-star game. So by the end, when we're in crunch time, we should probably have like a team of all-stars that makes sense, right? Like the point of it is technically to build a roster for a game, even though that's not really what most people care about, if we're being honest. But I think like yeah, again, I think if the starters were positions and then we have maybe like guard, forward, three wild cards or something like that, that's better at least. I would hear the argument if you said just make them all wild cards. It's not like we're gonna have seven guards as our, or seven reserves or whatever. So it's not. I don't think it's a terrible argument. I think if you combine all the reserves to not being East and West, then you could do three guards, four forwards, and seven wild cards. Like that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
So maybe there's a
yeah, I agree. I think there should just be more wild cards, not eliminate it completely, because like you said, there should be some structure. But sometimes just I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's some big men that should not have made the All Star game because back in the day they had it strict positions. It wasn't just like front court, back court. It was center, forwards, guards. Now it's front court, back court. So it's gotten a bit better because you can put like a forward at the center position. So that's why you can have Giannis, Tatum, and KD, right? Instead of Embiid stuffing. Like, yeah, that makes sense to me. So I think you should eliminate it slightly more to have the best players in the game.
yeah. The tough thing about positions too is we're playing positionless basketball. Like even yeah, we were talking about Laurie Markkinen earlier. Who, by the way, to me, deserves to be an all-star. He's stupid efficient and he's leading the team. And I think talking about Laurie Markkinen is a whole other conversation where we speak about players like, yeah, you were talking about getting their own role. And like, really quick, I just wanted to touch on the fact that like when he was with Chicago, they just made him like a run around the perimeter and shoot threes guy. And now that someone's finally letting him attack, like and work on his own, he can create his own shot from there. He doesn't have to just be a guy off the catch. But um, yeah, like it just it makes more sense to have positionless. When we're playing positionless basketball, to have positionless all-star games. Like, what do you call Markin? I would argue he's a small forward, but like there were seasons where he was playing center
I think
and
he's a power forward.
mostly power forward.
I think
Is
he's
he
a
a power
power
forward?
forward. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you called him a small forward, I wouldn't say you're wrong. Even though the guy is 7 feet tall, right? Like it wouldn't be fair to pigeonhole him as a center because he's 7 feet tall, or pigeonhole him as whatever position. Like if we had strict positions, it just wouldn't make any sense. I agree. Old all stars are really tough. Especially like I was saying, the center position wasn't deep for a while in the mid 2010s, and guys were all stars and all NBA guys that probably shouldn't be. It's worth also asking, do you think all NBA should be position based, and how position based do you think all NBA should be?
I think it should be position based. I think all NBA should be position based because then we can say the best center in the league this year was Jokic, was Embiid. But then again, if you look at it like, oh my god, Embiid not being a all NBA team while averaging 33, 34, that's a wild concept to me. But the reason why I think it's important is because it was always that way. So it's kind of unfair to change the criteria for all NBA now because then the best center in the NBA might not make all NBA first team, right? So I think it should stay the same way for all NBA.
So, how strict then would you make the positions? Because I would argue you could have it like every position, like point, shot, small, power forward, or power and center, right? But you could say like what they're like they almost bleed a position. Like a point guard can be any point guard can be put as a shooting guard, and I wouldn't care. And any shooting guard can be a point guard, and I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
care.
I think just guards, forward,
I would,
center.
okay, I agree. Because like I think, or even like in some years, like it won't be this year, but like if you had a bigger shooting guard and you think they were better than the best small forward in the league, I wouldn't mind if you put two shooting guards there and a point guard. Like again, if you had a power forward and you thought there was like two great centers and a power forward and it should be two guards, I don't mind going instead of a small forward, power forward, center, or two small forwards instead of whatever. Like I don't mind if there's two of a position. It's like because again, positionless basketball. I don't mind if it's close, right?
It's tough to say because I think the criteria for me changes every year because Players are ridiculous these days, but you can't change that criteria every day because it's unfair to other players. So I think it's really tough. Awards are tough.
Yeah, it's just it's really interesting to look at. Like even guys that you're like, no way he should be a second team guy, or no way he should be a third team guy. And then when you look at it, it's like, who are you gonna replace? Like all NBA teams become so difficult, especially when they're position based. And yeah, like Embiid being if Embiid is second team this year, that's insane, but it's very possible.
I think he is going to be second team. I think that, okay, first All NBA team is going to be. Oh, your man's going to make it. Actually, Shea's going to make it.
I think so too. Yeah,
Because Curry's out, so
yeah.
it's going to be Luca, Shea, Tatum, not Tatum. Sorry. Maybe Giannis for sure. Jokic,
Yeah.
and then there's a forward spot open.
I think it's KD Tatum. I don't mind if you like
I think it's
positionally
Tatum.
you can put KD Tatum or Embiid in there, and I wouldn't be mad about
Can
it.
you put Embiid in it? Is it forward? Is it just front court, back court for All NBA?
I don't know if you can, but personally I wouldn't be upset about it. That's what I'm saying.
I would put Embiid if you could. But see, that's what I mean. Like the criteria change because he's not a forward.
I would, yeah, I know. I, you can't really make him a power forward. You can't really make Jokic a power forward either.
Yeah,
Do you put KD or Tatum?
I put Tatum because I love KD. KD's better. I don't care. He is not close. He is much better. But Tatum has played a lot more games. He is still the top seed in the East. He deserves it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's tough to also gauge what seed Kevin Durant's team is. Like it's the Suns, but like
Doesn't count. Like how
I
much does
know.
KD even contribute towards wins this year? Like when he played, like he was amazing. But when he didn't play, like he didn't play a lot of games. So I don't know. He's been injured. He's old.
Yeah, and I think games played matters a lot more than most people do. I think if a guy played like
Bah,
15 more games than another guy,
bah,
like
bah,
it's tough
bah.
because like it's
Humor,
kind of a dumb argument, but like
나.
he played 15 more games. Like he was more valuable to his team, and he was more important, and he was better because the guy played whatever's 15 points per game. It's like what 20% of the season more than the other guy. Like that's a lot when you think about it. There's a cutoff for all NBA at least. Like there's a minimum games played now. And
What is
yeah,
it? Do you know?
I think it's 75% of the season.
75, so 60 games. Um,
Maybe it's 70%. It's either 70 or
KD,
75.
KD can't. Oh, KD has to play all the games. Almost has he?
58,
He's to play
58.
58 is qualified. Oh, he can make it. He can make it. He needs to make. He needs to play 19 more games out of
Yeah,
20,
it's
25, 26 left. I think.
I think it's like 70% of the games. So yeah, whatever that is. Yeah. He could probably get there, but he probably won't. I don't think Curry's gonna. That's the thing. Like, so yeah, like Curry's not gonna be an All NBA guy. So now it
Wait,
should
that's
be as
wild. Not making All NBA as KD. Wow.
yeah. If it like, I think they'll still give it to him probably, even if he. I don't know if it's a strict minimum. I thought it was, but now that I'm saying this, I don't know if it's a full like strict minimum. I thought it was.
Yeah, see, this is like the criteria changes here for me too because KD deserves it even though he hasn't played that many games because he's so good. But
Their
I
current what year was this article? Trying to find out if there ever was. There is a minimum number of games now, but I think potentially we should raise it. Okay, fair enough. I don't disagree with that. I think it is 70% right now. Yeah, it is. So it's 58 this season.
strict rule.
For league in the league in points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, or minutes per game.
Oh yeah, for
I don't know.
those. I don't think that's for All NBA though. I think All NBA is the same as
Yeah,
All Star. There's no strict criteria. There's like a vague idea.
I think the vague idea should be 70%. Like I think if you're a game under and you really deserve it, sure. But I think if you're 5, 10 games under, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So like I think Zion could have made it, but now he's not.
I think Zion could have made it too. I think he would have made it. But he's probably not gonna if he plays again this season, it's going to be the last like 5 games. He won't
Because
even
he's
be
out
on
for
the court
several
again.
weeks after All Star. That's wild. What? Like what?
Yeah,
Oh, dang it. The Pelicans are so screwed.
yeah, they look better once since Brandon Ingram's like he
Well,
was bad the first 3 games he
he's
came back, but
averaged like 30 over the last couple of games, something like
yeah,
that.
once he like got back, his first 2 or 3 games were awful, and they lost all of them. But since then, he's been way better. Since they got the first win,
They got
they've
three in
been
a
what like
row, I think, and then they lost one.
yeah. Then they lost one loss. Like the last loss was brutal, but yeah, he's been much better. He's averaging since he had the first good game, 30 points a game on 55-43 split. Not bad.
Yeah, mini KD. Um,
He really is.
he, the Pels were first in the West when Zion was healthy. Like
Oh yeah, and they should have been a top 3, 5 to 5 seed this year, but
people underestimate the value of Zion. How do you? Because he's like a black hole. How do you? Everyone looks at him while he's driving. It creates so much offense. It creates so much off ball movement as well. So he's really valuable. People don't see it,
oh yeah,
but he's so
that's how
valuable.
that's not how I usually use black hole as like a guy who can't. I was so confused at first, but yeah, he just he, the gravitational pull of Zion, like he brings 2, 3 defenders when he
Right, that's
gets
the
to the
word I
paint.
was looking for. Black hole's like guy who doesn't pass the ball, right?
Yeah, exactly. A
Yeah, my
guy who
fault, my fault.
can't shoot, like yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like Russ.
Yeah, or like I remember the one year Luke Dort was on the that competitive Thunder team,
With
and
Chris
he just
Paul.
like yeah, the
Yeah,
until that one game where he made 7 threes, everyone was yelling about how he's a black hole offensively and he's gonna ruin their chances. But
Matisse is the
um,
definition of a black hole.
Matisse Thybulle
Yeah,
is the black hole. Yeah, but yeah, there's like something to be said about how Zion should if he stays healthy, he will be an MVP at one point, or at least in the top discussion. He was before he got injured. He was top 5 arguably in
yeah,
that
he should
debate.
have been. They were a top seed, and he doesn't miss. He
He really doesn't
yeah.
miss. Like the efficiency for a guy who can't really shoot the three ball is just nuts. Like he doesn't seem like a modern NBA guy. He's 6'6" and he can't shoot threes, but then you watch him play and you get it. And he can also pass. Like he can play make because he draws in so many defenders that it's not that hard to play make out of it, right? We
Like
have shooters now too.
yeah, I like Point Zion. They need to run Point Zion. They do
Yeah,
this season. They did. I mean,
I, I didn't love Point Zion like in his rookie year, but since then I've really loved it. Like it was interesting because he really hadn't developed the guard skills like as well, and I always thought Point Ingram in rookie year, but since then it's like Point Zion has been so good because he can pass. Hit the handles much improved from what it was. Like it's really good.
yeah, like he's gotten better since his rookie season. People don't think so. He's just like, oh, it's Duke Zion. He's back. No, he's gotten better.
He's gotten so much better. If you've been watching, like yeah, it's completely different, and the team around him has gotten so much better too. That's the thing. Like there's so many defenders that make up for his main issue is he's kind of a defensive liability, but there's so many good defenders around him
Why is
now.
he even a defensive liability though? Like he should be quick on his feet. He he should be
He just
athletic enough
gets
to keep up. He kind of dumb on defense
he
almost.
it's he just gets smoked off the dribble. Like he just can't move his feet. That's the thing. He can jump and he can sometimes block shots, but he's not very good at that. Even if we're being honest, like he has the hyper athleticism. You're right. He should be good, but he just gets smoked off the dribble, and he's 6'6", so like centers can shoot over him, right? Like he's not that good of a paint defender either. He's built for it kind of, but he's not tall enough. And then he just can't guard the perimeter at all. And it's tough to like to keep him out there for that. But I mean, obviously the offense way outweighs the defense. And again, yeah, they can hide him now, but yeah, I don't disagree. He should be a good defender. Same with Ingram. Ingram should be a much better defender. He's got the long arms. Like,
Yeah, he should be like a. Well, I think he'll get better. Like look at KD. KD got is a much improved defender. He knows how to use it better. I think when Bi plays more games, and he'll figure it out. I think he'll be a good defender.
yeah, hopefully. I think it's possible. I mean, the guy he is only 25, but he also has been in the
He's
league
only
for some, like
25.
yeah. Did you know that?
Really? That bro was like
Yeah.
27 now.
Nah, he's been in the league for 7 years. He's still 25, which is nuts.
Man, he's damn. Your team
Yeah.
is. I thought the Pels were a little bit older than they were. Than the Pels are
Uh, the
so
the
young.
I mean the only old guys are CJ and um JV.
How old
But
is
they're
Nance?
30 as well. Sorry,
Yeah, okay.
which is so Nance is 30, JV is 30, CJ's 31. The only other guy is Garrett Temple, but hopefully
Doesn't
he
play.
retires soon.
He doesn't
Yeah,
play.
he plays sometimes somehow. That's the worst part. But yeah, no. Um, they're really equipped for the future. That's why, like, as much as this year is really sad, um, a year of getting better for guys like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Bi, Zion, all these guys getting a little bit better. Even Najee could probably take another step. And honestly, CJ should lose a step going to 32. Like, he should have at least 1 or 2 more years at this level of production. Same with JV. JV doesn't have to run or move that much anyway. Like, it's gonna be good.
All right, I'm just gonna ask you one more question and then we'll wrap it up. This is my view as a Kyrie fan, your view as a Pels fan. If Kyrie wants to go there in the offseason for 4 years, 180, do you sign him?
The Pels.
Yeah,
So we have to sign and trade someone, right? Like we'd have to trade away who, CJ?
yeah, but it's 4 year contract, so he can't just leave.
4 year 180?
Yeah,
Is that even allowed?
I think so, because he wants. Oh no, sorry, it'd be 4 years. Oh, no, it'd be 4 years, 200. No, wait.
That's a lot. Oh, I thought if you're gonna sign a max off a team you weren't on the
Oh
years
no, you're right.
before.
It's like 4 years, 160.
Yeah, because like if you're not on the team, you can't sign. That's why their sign and trades always happen. But like he got traded again, so I don't think he can sign a super max.
No, he can't. You're right.
Right? Okay, so let's call it whatever it is.
4 years, 160.
Um, if I'm trading what CJ and like a first for him or something.
CJ first. That's not enough salary, I think.
CJ makes $33 million a year.
Does he really? That's okay. Yeah, that's enough.
He makes
Wait,
36 next
when's his
year and
contract
30
expire?
2026. It's the same
Oh, okay,
term.
then it's
Oh,
good.
the last year would create problems, but also like we
Because there's
figured
something
out.
called poison pill if he was expiring, but he's not expiring next year, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I mean, we could throw in another piece like instead of the first, it could just be like CJ and like what's his face, the quick guy, Tyra Lewis or something. Like,
Would you do it?
yeah, I think you get better. I mean, CJ handles the ball a lot. I'd rather have Kyrie than CJ. I think Kyrie just does what CJ does, but a lot
Better.
better.
Yep.
Yeah, like honestly, they're very similar. Like not 100% play style. CJ's more about like getting to like his floater game, whereas I find Irving would rather get to his mid-range shot. But both take a lot in the mid-range. Irving's a better finisher to me.
To
And he's
you?
honestly a better.
Nah, not even to you. He's a way better finisher.
Oh yeah. Sorry, he's a better finisher, but like,
Yeah.
and he's obviously a much better shooter.
Is CJ a
Like
bad
CJ's
shooter this
great.
year?
Oh, CJ's a great shooter, but
Yeah,
like
right.
Kyrie is one of the best long range shooters. Off the dribble, it's just insane. Like,
And he can catch and shoot. So if you want to play
and
point Zion, it works.
yeah, he's probably shooting the same clip as CJ this year, for being honest. But like, I just would rather him in late game situations taking a step back. CJ has been good this year, but he did have a little slump. Like Kyrie doesn't really slump for being there, if we're being honest. To me, at least.
He has like
When
he
I
gets
watched,
he has like two bad games, and then the entire Nets
yeah,
franchise would hate him, and then he averaged 40.
exactly. Like
Yeah,
I would do that trade if it's possible, which it
it
might be.
could be, but
I don't know if he'd ever come to New Orleans, but that's another. I just don't think he would. It's too small of a market. But
maybe that's what he needs, so he can get away from all the drama. But
yeah, I don't
whatever.
know. I think another debate is: does he bring the drama to places, or does like
Oh,
the
he
drama
does. It does, but it's also because he's in a big market. I think it's a bit of both.
like if you think he went to like Indiana, we'd stop hearing about him as much?
I think people would care less about what he does in his off-court antics.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd give you
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and if people care
You,
less, I think he'd do less, and then it kind of die down a bit.
yeah, New York teams and LA teams, like California. I mean, the Sacramento Kings are not that bad, but like the
Nah, the
Clippers,
Kings
Lakers.
crowd is great.
Yeah, and their fan base is great, but they don't like. There's not a lot of Kings hate from like the
Yeah, no one
media
hates
when
the
they're not.
Kings. Everyone loves the
Yeah, that's what I'm
Kings.
saying. So like, if you're like, if the Clippers are playing bad, we're gonna hear about it. If the Lakers are playing bad, we're definitely gonna hear about it. Brooklyn or the Knicks, 100% we're gonna hear about it. Like, it's tough to be on one of those teams.
Yeah. Wait, actually, let's talk about one more thing because this morning K Love is
Go
reportedly
to the
going to
Heat.
Miami. Yeah. So, what do you think of that?
Uh, I don't understand why K Love would do it because I don't think the Heat are winning a championship, and I think that's all he's competing for. But In terms of like fit, yeah, why would you not? They don't really have like honestly, I would argue that they don't actually have a player who plays the power forward position.
They don't. That's why I love it
Like,
for Miami.
yeah, like there actually is not one player who I would sit there. Oh, Jovic, I guess.
Doesn't
Sorry,
count.
there's one.
And Udonis
Doesn't count for
Haslam
me.
ish. But
No, at this point
he
he's a center. At this point he's a center. He can't move.
yeah.
Okay, well let's ignore that and talk about the fact that they're actually filling a position of need. He can shoot. Like that's great. That's all you really need before he play. He can play his position and he can shoot at that height. He still can shoot. I don't think if he I don't know if he can do much else. I haven't watched this year. I watched last year. He was good last year. Like he was important to that team. He added that veteran leadership.
He was like in the
Um,
sixth man of the year conversation.
yeah, he was good. Um, I mean, again, I don't know if the Heat position wise and basketball wise, it's a great fit. But if I'm K-Love, I'm going somewhere where I can like. I think he just
LA.
wants to play. I think he wants to play. For being honest.
Well, that makes sense because he won his chip by reducing his role. I guess he just wants to play again. He misses his glory days in Minnesota, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's teams that like could really just use his like veteran leadership. I thought Memphis made a lot of sense. Like take the
Oh yeah,
minutes
that's a
from
good fit.
yeah, right. Like take the minutes from a guy like Zaire. I don't think he's had a very good year at all. Like guys like that who won't be playing come playoff time. You could play Caleb and said they really don't have that veteran guy. Like they have what's his name? Steven Adams, but like I don't know. I think he'd be really helpful as the like the veteran leadership there. Take Zaire's minutes away from him if he's still getting any. I know he was early season. I don't know if he's anymore, but and then honestly, like when guys like Dylan Brooks are slumping or whatever, you can throw him in. Um, I mean, I'd rather have Santi Aldama playing than him, probably at this point, if we're being honest. But he can still see backup minutes. I don't know. I thought Memphis was the first fit that made sense to me, but whatever.
I low key wanted the Mavs to pick him up because the Mavs can't play defense anyways. They're not going to be able to play defense. I'd rather have him in the corner if Reggie Bullock is bricking 4 threes in a row. So um,
Oh,
but
that's definitely fair too. Yeah,
yeah,
that's not a bad spot.
yeah. Anyways, I think we should wrap it up. We've been talking about random stuff for the past like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happens sometimes.
yeah. I think it was fun anyways. So yeah. So we'll wrap it up. This is our episode for this week. I'm really excited to see the All Star game today because they're drafting the players live. So I'm really really happy to see that. Like Katie's gonna be in his street clothes drafting players. I wonder if
And
Kai's available. He'll take Kai, or there's maybe some animosity there. Who knows? Maybe. So I'm excited to see that. The dunk contest yesterday was pretty fun actually. Mac went crazy. Skills challenge sucks. They should replace it with a 3v3 tournament or something. Um, yeah. So that'll make it an episode. Make sure to check out all our socials. We're available on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and we actually launched a website last week. We had a guest on a couple of episodes ago, Newer, and he's writing 1 or 2 articles a week. He just wrote an article about the trade deadline and he graded every single team. Make sure to check that out. It's in our link tree. And actually, for Dishing Heat, we've started a new account because I've done it because I'm a huge Kyrie stan. That's called Kyrie Analytics. It's basically every single day since 2016. I'm analyzing a move that Kyrie makes in every single game. So check that out for sure. And on Dishing Heat, we post every single day and we post a podcast weekly. So make sure to check us out at Dishing Heat Pod on Instagram. Until next week, we're out.